Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. Today we're down at the crossing at the Dan for a meeting of Danville United. This is going to be a very unique meeting tonight as members of the coalition are going to take a walk on the Riverwalk Trail just to get to know each other a little better. Of course, Danville United was formed about 18 months ago here in the community just to bring different people from all walks of life within the City of Danville together to share ideas and just get to know each other a little better. And I'm joined now by the Vice Chair of that coalition, John Carroll, who's a pastor of First Baptist Church. And Reverend Carroll, thank you for taking the time to join us today. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for coming out and covering this for us.
Yeah, and I know, Reverend Carroll, we've had these meetings before in the City of Danville. I've covered a few of them. They've been held at the Institute, and we get groups together just to talk about various topics. I know Chief Broadfoot has come and spoke to the group on a number of occasions about different topics. But tonight, going to be a little different. We're down here at the crossing at the dam. We're going to be meeting in the Pepsi building, but then we're going to be heading out to the Riverwalk Trail. So tell me a little bit about this idea to bring the community together in this type of atmosphere.
Well, the idea came about as we were trying to organize our next gathering, and we had the honor of sitting down with Joshua Dubois, who was here in our city several weeks ago. And he really honored some of the front-end conversations we had with Chief Broadfoot and others around topics that matter to a lot of folks in our community. Right. But he also said, you know, a good thing to do in regard to your overall goal of building a stronger community is to have some opportunities simply to gather and get to know one another. Yeah. And so out of that conversation and then reflecting on that, we wanted to take another approach and just work on those building blocks of any strong community, which are the relationships between individuals.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to see at tonight's meeting, because our viewers are going to be seeing some B-roll of what's going to be happening a little later on. We're going to meet in the Pepsi building, but then we're going to split up into groups of 2 and 4. We're just going to take a walk on the Riverwalk Trail and just spark some conversation, maybe from somebody that doesn't look like yourself, or maybe from a different background, just to share some ideas, right?
Exactly. That's all that tonight is about. It's as simple as taking a walk and as hard as building a community. Yeah. Really, we're just taking the opportunity to meet somebody who it would not be your initial go-to for building a relationship or a friendship. When we think about you and me, that you that we think about on the other side of me often looks a lot like me. Right. But this is an opportunity to think about that there might be somebody different who I can build a relationship with and who I can get to know and strengthen the bonds of our community by doing that. So that's what we're going to do. We have some starter questions, but they're just starter. As the conversation can go as deep and as wide as we want it to.
And of course, after that walk, we're going to gather back at the Pepsi building and kind of share some of the things that came out of these conversations, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we'll come back from the walk and we'll have a little moment of debrief where we can talk about things we've learned and why this is an important thing for us to do as a community, why it's important to willfully dislocate ourselves outside of our norm. It's only by doing that we can better welcome the diversity of our community, but we have to be purposeful in doing that.
I think this is a great way to get you out of your comfort zone, because even when you have these kind of meetings, if you break off in 2 or 4, like you said, you kind of break off into people that you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So this will be a great time just to, in a relaxed atmosphere on the Riverwalk Trail to talk with some people and get you out of that comfort zone. So I applaud the community and Danville United for this type of atmosphere to get the conversation going.
Well, and it was, this event was the product of many people coming together, not just Ron, who is our chair, and myself, but city leaders and others who are on our advisory board and who are our steering committee. They come together with us and help to plan the directions that we go. Great. So this was a byproduct of a lot of people working together.
That's great. Now let's talk a little bit about Danville United. As I mentioned in my opening, formed in November of 2013, so about a year and a half. And I know you've been vice chair for that time period. Tell me your thoughts on how Danville United has really grown and helped this community in those 18 months.
Well, I think we've been able to start a lot of good conversations that I think were important were and are important conversations. The conversations we had with Chief Broadfoot around drug arrest and being able to get some clarity on that and to ask good questions, and so it created better understanding, I think, amidst our community. And it also showed the openness to conversation from city leaders, which I think is really important for a strong, diverse community. Also, we were able to have conversations around resources for at-risk children, and what are those resources and how can we get those resources to people who need them, and then where are the gaps and how can we start filling those gaps. So we've had those are just two that jump to the forefront of my mind, but we've had an array of conversations. We've had a chance to learn from a group that's been doing this much longer than we have. A leader from Winston-Salem came, and they've been doing it for over 20 years, and they were able to give some input and some vision for us as well. I think one of the things we've learned is, we knew this going in, but I think we've learned it over and over again, is that to build a strong, diverse community, a welcoming community, is a lifelong process, and it's nothing that it's not something that we will achieve in 6 months or 2 years or 5 years, but it's something we have to constantly work at.
Yeah. Now, for any of our viewers out there who may be watching this program and this is the first they've heard of Danville United, how often do you all meet, and how can anybody in our community take part in the coalition?
Well, we meet at least quarterly, and those so we meet at least every 3 months. And you can go to danvilleunited.org, and you can find out information about any upcoming meeting. There's also a link there where you can register. Any individual or any organization within the city of Danville is welcome to join. And all you got to do is fill out the form online. We have paper forms here tonight, so if you there's a paper form if you want to do that as well. But anyone's welcome to join, and then you can come to the meetings and participate and help us along the way, because we need everybody to be a part of this if it's going to be a success.
Very good. Well, Pastor Carroll, I appreciate you taking the time to join us this week on River City TV, and congratulations on all the success of Danville United, and best of luck moving forward. I know we're going to talk to President Ron Johnson, who is the chairman, not president, but chairman of Danville United here in just a second. But hope everything goes well with this format tonight on the Riverwalk Trail. I think it's going to be a great way to start a conversation here in our community.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, we're now joined by the chairman of Danville United, Pastor Ron Johnson, who is the pastor of Hallbrook Presbyterian Church here in the city of Danville, and he has been the chair of Danville United, I guess, really since day one, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. It's been a great journey, and we're glad we're here. We're excited that we're here, and I'm seeing the folks walk in, and we're about to take a walk at a journey, really, about talking to each other about what it means to be part of, resident of Danville, and our hopes and visions, our aspirations, but most of all to share about how I fit into Danville. Yeah. So I'm excited about today. I hope you are too.
I am too, and I was just talking with Pastor Carroll about this unique format and how we're really going to be taking a walk on the Riverwalk Trail, and hopefully taking a walk with someone you may not have ever taken a walk with before, someone that kind of doesn't look the same as you when you look in the mirror in the morning.
Yeah, and that's one of the key things, is to really kind of share about something about each of us. And I think in the sharing we'll find out that we have a lot in common. My hopes are the same as your hopes. I want to be here and fully engaged as much as the next person. I want to see Danville grow just like the other person does. I want to be able to have a job. If I desire to have children, I want to see them grow up and do well and be successful. I want to enjoy Danville, this beautiful area here we're looking at. I love beautiful things too, and so we really do share a lot of things that are in common. Absolutely. And as a family guy, and both as a pastor, as a dad, when I talk with other dads, they have the same aspirations for their kids. Yeah. So we're here to share part of that, and to really tell our story a little bit about who we are, and when we tell our story about who we are, then we really discover also that I'm Danville. And when you share your story, you're Danville too. So it's about imagining ourselves walking together, developing the things that are likenesses, developing actually a a love for the city that we live in, talking about what we love about it, and also to kind of imagine, well, what would it look like if I got involved with, say, the local Rotary Club? What would I bring to the table? Or if I were involved, say, with the EMS as a volunteer, what could I bring to that? Both my passion, caring for others, whatever, but to bring that in and see, hey, look, everybody has been given something that they can share. So if I share that with you, maybe you can find, together we can find a place where we can all fit and we can all contribute to the rising, reimagining Danville.
And I love the reimagining that you keep mentioning, because obviously we're coining this Reimagine You and Me tonight, because it's piggybacking off the Reimagine That for the River District, the motto that we just launched just last week. So great to see that coinciding with Danville United.
Yeah, it is. And I think another thing is, I just wanted to bring up too, is that we were talking a little bit about that today, and I talked with my son about it, and I said, you know, if I told you live in a great city, would that mean something to you? And he says, oh yeah, but I need something more. I said, well, if you have a sense of belonging, that because community is about belonging. It's about knowing that I've got a part. If your experiences match up with what you're being told, that you live in a great city, and your experiences are, yeah, you know, I do live in a great city. I mean, I've got some experiences that says this is a good place to live. Then we can start matching things up. And so this afternoon is about matching those experiences, to maybe sharing some of those experiences, but also the challenges as well. So yeah, excited about it. I hope everybody comes on down.
Yeah, that's great. Now I did ask Pastor Carroll a little bit about this. You've been chair since day one of November of 2013. As you look back over the 18th months, can you talk a little about the progress that we've made within Danville United and getting this message of diversity out to the community?
Well, we started out talking about neighborhoods. We used the form Blight. And we talked about our neighborhoods and how we could improve those, and it really was about also about how I can get engaged. So when I walk out the door, and I look at my neighborhood where I live, what can I see that I would like to change, or what can I see? In what kind of ways can I make it better? So we talked about some of those neighborhoods that really need for us to come alongside, for us to really step out our door and say, how can I make my neighborhood better? We also had some conversations with our police chief about our community and how I see the community. What are some of the good things, some of my good experiences, but also what are some of my challenges? As a person of color, these are some of the things that I've experienced, and I would like to let you know this is part of my story. And the hope was, with hearing my story, my experiences, as well as your challenges of being the police chief here and providing for care of its citizens, then hopefully you'll understand how I perceive, what are some of the assumptions that I have that is wrong about what you do, and perhaps maybe even some assumptions on the other part of the other person about who I am and my culture and so forth. So we did that. We had an opportunity to hear about what was happening in Danville. We even were able to talk about how do we get more young people involved with the police department? How can we make that one of their occupational choices? And how do we draw the very best of what we have here in Danville to the police department? So we did that as well. We had an opportunity to sing with other churches and join folks that we might not ordinarily join with on a day to sing about our Lord, and we got a chance to share that. It was Danville Sings was an outstanding event, and we, along with that, we've had some what we, to coin a phrase, I guess, we've had some town hall meetings. And we've been able to share with one another. We had Mrs. Abraham come out from Winston-Salem, and she shared some of the things that they were doing. It was sort of one of those times where we could look at what was happening in different communities and pick best practices. So we did that as well. We continue to have an ongoing conversation about inclusivity and diversity and the importance of that. The country is changing. We are all part of this landscape. I like to refer to it as a mosaic. Right. Each of us bring who we are to the table, or like a piece of glass, a colored piece of glass, and the awesome thing about it is that, you know, with different pieces of glass, people do wonderful, marvelous works of art. Right. And I think that that's part of who we are, what we are calling ourselves, challenging ourselves to be. How do we fit into that picture, and how do we create a beautiful mosaic here in Danville?
Well, a lot has been done over the last 18 months, as Reverend Johnson just mentioned, and we're looking forward to the unique atmosphere that's going to be created tonight on the Riverwalk Trail. Reverend, we thank you for joining us today. Thank you for guiding this coalition here in the city of Danville, giving everyone a voice, allowing them to come to the table no matter where you come from, no matter what type of neighborhood you live in, no matter what type walk of life that you come from. They're allowed to come to this coalition and share their points of view. So we appreciate that, and we look forward to the event tonight.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, we want to thank Reverend Johnson and Reverend Carroll for stopping by and talking with us on this week's show and giving us an update on the progress that Danville United has made over the last 18 months. And as Reverend Johnson just mentioned, a lot of different topics have been discussed within this coalition over those months, and making a lot of headway when it comes to diversity here in our community, bringing a lot of different people to the table to discuss a wide range of topics that affect our community. And what I'd like to do now is take our cameras along the Riverwalk Trail as members of the coalition took a stroll and started dialogue and conversation with other members of the coalition that they may have never spoken to before, someone of a different race, a different ethnicity, different background, live in a different neighborhood here in our city of Danville. Someone they may have never spoken to before. They get the opportunity to start that conversation tonight at Danville United.
Worked with the newspapers in Florida, actually moved over to Bristol. Kind of following all that along. Well, you born and raised up.
I was.
Can I call you John?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's perfectly fine. I was born and raised in Waynesboro, Georgia. It's that you know the Masters golf tournament.
Yeah.
That's in Augusta, which is just 30 minutes north of there.
Oh, wow.
So now I've never been on the course. Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful.
Have you ever been to the mountain? To the mountain.
Be at the table for different kinds of things. Like be seen at the table for different kinds of things in a community. Like this being one, but you know, if it's a chamber event or if it's a young professionals event or those kinds of things, you're seen with different groups of people. So you meet more.
I definitely need to get in with the young professionals. It's just a lot of stuff. I'm lining up with stuff when I'm getting out of town.
Yeah. Because that's helped. And then
I had a tour a few weeks ago.
you know, I'm a part of the Middle Border Forward group, and we're really focused on
Extremely expensive.
being conscious of who's at the table and who's not at the table, and being inclusive. So, like my event was a perfect example of that. You know, we tend to look at the table and go, okay, who's not around, who's not represented, which is a completely different mindset than before. And so that group, or our group, has really helped, I think, do some of that.
Yeah, I think it helps.
Bringing different kinds of people around the table.
You see Danville then, Danville now.
There we go.
Yeah. As a child, Danville was an excellent place. I mean, you know, my elementary education and all of that had opportunities. And coming from the project, see,
You know, to build interest.
contrary to what most people think.
In that way,
You know, I think we
when you
lived,
do have a larger
we were actually poor and didn't know it. But we had everything we needed. You know, my father worked as a meat cutter. And he supplied the family. I got 4 siblings. I had 4 siblings.
When we did the blue jeans thing,
We had everything we needed.
that was one of our focuses.
So as I got grown, got out on my own, I could appreciate, you know, the things that I had because I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up with a lot of stuff. But it didn't bother me because I felt like I was well off. I was well taught. And the comment I made earlier about it taking a village to raise a kid, the environment in the project, when I grew up, you messed up. I don't care who saw you. One of the worst, quote unquote, whoopings I ever got was from a neighbor. Caught us playing with fire. He gave us what we needed and then carried us home, and our parents carried it on from there. But that's the way we were raised. So you had a lot of respect for other people, you know, for your elders or whatever.
I heard you say 3 words. I heard you say parents, respect, and raise. Because I was raised, you know, similar to that, and I don't want to do any, I guess, comparison. So I guess my question is, do you think parenting today is like parenting was when you were a child?
Now, the biggest difference that I see now, Mayor, is we have...
Do me a favor and call me Sherman. Please.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
In all honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
The biggest difference that I see now is we have basically, I call them babies raising babies. You know, mothers are so young now, grandmothers. We got 30-year-old, 35-year-old grandmothers. And you know, back when I came along, you know, we had an occasional young parent, but the older parents, the older people in the community were the parents. So you had a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom to glean from.
There is.
Kind of like this. It won't be this close to the river. Well, some wonderful conversations were had along the Riverwalk Trail at tonight's Danville United meeting. Really a laid-back atmosphere for members of the coalition to talk about where they grew up, how they came to Danville, and share stories about their life and the way they like to reimagine Danville here going forward. So it was a great time. Some great stories were shared. We were able to capture some of those on camera. Loved with Mayor Saunders and Reverend Carroll and a couple of the citizens that walked the trail. Some great stories that were shared and some ways maybe we can improve our relationships here in the community moving forward. So if you'd like more information about this coalition or would like to join, you can log on to danvilleunited.org to get all the information, and you can even register online to become a member. So until next week, have a great day.